Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the beautiful Swiss Alps. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das, speaking live from Rome. He's in Roma right now. I'm in the Swiss Alps, both incredible places. Kaustubha, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I wanted to welcome them, but I also want to hear about Rome. But first, I got to tell you, I was on the most breathtaking drive. If you've ever driven through the Alps to Italy, to Germany, it is unbelievable. It's like waterfall after gorges. And we are up in the hills somewhere at 5,000 feet, aka 1,500 meters, slightly lightheaded in Kamini and Keshvacharya's incredible little retreat center. We're in their yoga studio right now, and we are headed to Zurich. On the way, we stopped for an incredible tofu scramble. Kaustubha, give me the Rome report, please. What's Rome like?
I arrived in Rome yesterday afternoon, about 5 in the afternoon. Quickly found our spot. We're right near the Vatican City. We just wandered out and got some vegetables and just walked all around the place, and it's absolutely beautiful here, you know. And then, well, this morning I got up early and I went out, did a japa walk. I walked for a couple hours, just all over the place.
Can you go to church in the Vatican? Can you go I want to go to church today.
Of course.
You can go every day. Just go to church. Did you know it's a separate...
I imagine you can go to church there. I mean, I haven't done it myself, but I'm pretty sure they got a church over there.
Do you know it's not legally part of Italy? Do you know
it's its own nation.
It's like its own little nation.
Yeah. Thank you for that little tidbit.
I find that quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go check that out more tomorrow. We're going to, although I went wandering last night too, like just as it was starting to get dark. This city is breathtaking. And I went to that St. Peter Basilica, like the big piazza that they have there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, just right there in that one, piazza is like more incredible sculpture than like in all of New York City. It's insane. I was thinking this morning that, two things. One is factually, Rome must have been like conquering everyone and taxing everyone. It must have had tremendous wealth.
Sure.
To create what they created here. But you were speaking the other day about how we think we're more advanced now, but we're really going the wrong direction. And when you see this city, it's like, it couldn't be more clear. It's like this place is artistically and architecturally just unbelievable. And the kind of crap that we build nowadays is like, it's not even close. Just in terms of
housing, McMansions at the best.
In terms of in these glass, structures with concrete, and this city is magnificent, and just the level of artistry, and the fact that it has on one's mind, is really something. Coming from Assisi, it's definitely like a big change. That city was simple and very, very, very beautiful. And this place, and very pure. The atmosphere there felt very pure, like very spiritual. Here, it's like New York. It's a little dirtier, it's rougher,
A little
but
grimier.
it's yeah, a little grimier, but it's so full of beauty. It's unbelievable. I mean, actually, it's like every time you turn down a street, there's something magnificent there. A church or some kind of building, and it's kind of like, and even it's like, oh yeah, well that's just a church, but it's like 1,200 years old, and it's like
Right.
architecturally like mind blowing and artistically mind
Right.
blowing. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to now go out today and see it a bit more.
Shelter played at the Rome Temple.
Yeah, that must have been interesting. I heard they just
It was great.
moved. I heard they just like right now they're moving, or they might just move. Like then they have a new temple. That's what I heard.
All right.
The Parmananda filled me in. I said the Parmananda. I said Parmananda. Is he with us right now? I said
think so.
Parmananda. Anything, because he was here just a couple weeks ago. I said if you got anything to share with us, anything we should see, or places to eat or whatever. He was like, the guy should write a book. He should write like a
Travel book.
Yeah, Parmananda could do a travel book if he's shared a lot. So I got a lot to do today. Be running around.
All right.
And yourself, you're enjoying the Alps.
Everything's
meet up
great.
again
We
soon.
left Lugano. We went in a boat. It's on my Instagram. We rented a boat with Julia and her boyfriend and Vivi and me. And Vivi's about to pass me. We have a big workshop tonight, and then Vivi's about to pass me up to Nicole, who's our
Okay.
regular Zoomer, and Nicole's going to drive us up to Hamburg for the weekend. I teach 5 workshops.
She's gonna be like, she's gonna be like, here, Nicole, take him.
Vivi may be exhausted.
Driving
with
this
me.
guy around. She
Vivi
may
may be
just a little bit.
exhausted. I understand. I can exhaust a person. No, she says no, never.
No, of course.
But what do you call it? She's going to pat, and then I'm going to Hamburg, and then we're going to meet Satchidananda Swami. I'm going to meet you.
I think if you call it Hamburg over there, they're gonna look at you like,
Hamburg.
what's wrong with it?
Hamburg.
Yeah, more like that. Yeah, if you call it Hamburg.
I got in a fight in Hamburg once.
Try not to do that.
Let's
again.
not bring that up.
Okay.
I don't know why I brought that up.
Okay. Did you want me to read a little nugget today from St. Francis?
Yeah, if you got
That
some
book
St.
again?
Francis nuggets, I'm all ears.
Okay, we got a good response to this. People were interested in this St. Francis book. It's called The Lessons of St. Francis, How to Bring Simplicity and Spirituality into Your Daily Life by John Michael Talbot and Steve Rabbe. I think Rabbe. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So they are. It's kind of like simplifying St. Francis's meditations and teachings and making them practical. Like you don't have to be a full-on Franciscan monk to take a good look at your life, to take a little introspection and begin to live a little bit more, purely. So the book is divided into different chapters. Like each chapter just has like a one-word title, like simplicity, joy, solitude, humility, creativity, chastity, community, compassion, creation, service, peace, prayer. And then the last chapter is Francis's life and legacy. But I thought I'd read a little bit from his simplicity and like how you could take a little of that simplicity that a saint like Francis would have and maybe just apply it in your own modern daily life. Should we read a little?
Sure.
Okay. So this is from the chapter Simplicity. He says, putting simplicity into practice. And what is simplicity? We talk about meditation on the holy name and so on. But if your life is too complicated, it weighs down on your mind and you tend to have a distracted mind. So simplicity facilitates meditation. And they get that. So he says, is your life so hectic that you feel anxious, out of control, or depressed?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I answer these?
You can if you want. Yes. Check. Are you so busy working to make money to buy time-saving devices that you don't have any time to use them?
I do buy time-saving devices, but I use them, but they don't save me time.
Okay.
They take up more time.
Okay.
If I didn't have a phone, I'd probably have lots more time.
Okay. Right. Do you spend more time taking care of your possessions than you do enjoying your relationships with others and God?
I don't think so. But
Okay. But a lot of people probably do,
yes.
If so, Sit down for a few minutes and reflect on the following questions. Question number 1. Do I have some possessions that complicate my life, but don't really bring me any enjoyment? 2. What are some things that do bring me enjoyment, but may not be worth the cost in time, money, and concern? We do have to think like this, right? Because normally we just you're going with the flow, and you're not thinking about this.
Yeah, of just consumption.
Do I buy things that I don't need, won't use, or can't afford? What do I really need, and what do I merely want?
Yeah.
Am I consuming more than my fair share of the world's limited resources?
Maybe in food.
By the way, Raghunath has taken a vow not to eat on the show anymore. Right?
Yes.
Some people
complained that I was eating a croissant in Italian Switzerland and I was crunching in the microphone.
He's very remorseful,
Yeah.
and he promises not to do it again.
I'm bitter, especially at Mara, who sent me to stop chewing the microphone.
Okay. Continuing along. What do I really need, and what do I merely want? Am I consuming more than my fair share of the world's limited resources? What am I doing to help those who are less fortunate than myself? Is there some of my surplus that could benefit others with less? Mm-hmm. Then he goes on, pray about simplifying your life. Here's a basic prayer you can use as a model. You're going to do a little prayer here. God, give me new eyes to see my life as you see it. Interesting, right? Different perspective, zoom out, right? And give me a new heart to sense the difference between my wants and my needs. Give me compassion for the suffering of the world and a willingness to help those who are hurting. Amen. When you have more time, examine the following 3 areas of your life for greater detail. So he breaks, let me look if I want to simplify my life. And we always stress here, right, simplicity and kindness. So if I want to simplify my life, he's recommending that we look in 3 different areas: food, clothing, shelter. Because from my understandings, these are needs that we have, but we tend to expand those needs and kind of like fill them up with our wants rather than just them being our needs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he says for food, walk around your kitchen, look in the cupboards, and nose around your refrigerator. Then ask yourself these questions.
Uh-oh. No. Mara, okay. Your giant walk-in refrigerator.
Here we go. Do I regularly buy things that I don't eat, waste, or throw away? How many varieties of cereal, soup, spice, or mustard do I really need?
Is this guy going to get down on my cereal collection?
He just did. Is my diet balanced and healthy? Do I eat enough fruits and vegetables? Am I consuming too much fat and too many calories while starving myself of protein and nutrients?
Protein.
Are there ways I can spend less to get more nutrition? I think those are good questions to ask.
Good questions.
All right. And then with clothing, look in your closets and drawers. Count the number of pants or dresses you have. Now count shirts, sweaters, and shoes. Ask yourself the following questions. When was the last time you wore some of the items you possess? When do you plan to wear them again?
I'm with you.
You got some things lying around the closet? Extra stuff?
His stuff is like you have one suit for some occasion. I'm sick of that suit.
Yeah, that's rough. Okay.
Sick of that suit.
Could they better benefit someone else? 2, what colors accentuate the color of your hair, eyes, and complexion? Can you base a wardrobe around these colors? He's getting a little static here.
What if you have no hair?
How can you build a basic wardrobe that can be adapted easily to a multitude of social and professional settings instead of having complete wardrobes for every moment of your life? All right. And then finally, shelter. Walk in and around your house or apartment and take the following inventory. How much space do I and other family members really need? Will we need more or less space in the future? Do I look at my house as a shelter or is it a status symbol designed to impress neighbors and friends? Remember that song, Status Symbol? You remember that one, Raghunath?
No.
AOD?
Oh, yeah. Status symbol.
Yeah, that's right. That's going back. A few people. Maybe Dr. Louis remembers that
1980, 81.
Maybe Jiva. Do I look at my house as a shelter or status? Are there possessions in our house that we don't use and only cramp our living space? Can we get rid of these and avoid buying more unnecessary stuff?
Yeah.
It's practical. I like it. I think we maybe we should come up with our own wisdom of the sages, stuff like that. Like just for people that want to get deeper into the bhakti practice and lifestyle. We could adapt some of this stuff.
It is. I mean, we look at our house as our temple. That's a nice way to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm here with Kamini and Keshuvacharya, old-time Zoomers. And
are you going around the refrigerator and making sure that they're...
I'm going through the refrigerator. You're going to eat this? Throw it out. No, they have this. They're creating a little. They're creating a little Super Soul Farm Switzerland here.
Up in the mountains, huh?
Up in the mountains, gorgeous. When they're gorgeous old barn, we have to have a retreat up here.
It's like a retreat center.
Yeah, it's in this very famous ski town. They're near a very famous ski town, and there's spring water everywhere. It's breathtaking. There's a bunch of random animals walking around. Everything's green and beautiful and lush.
Good.
Alpine forests. Yeah, go rock climbing, go mountain biking. You can go. It's incredible.
Are these needs of yours, or are they simply wants, Raghunath?
I don't live here. They do. It's their wants. It's like a farm. It's super simple living. Am I in trouble for their farm?
All right. Are we ready to go?
Yeah. No, but you need it. People need time to get away. It's great that people like this are hosting places. That people can come and just leave their busyness and reconnect. So I'm really appreciating this.
Good.
Okay. You ready to dive into the sweet honey pot?
Yeah.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and our teachers are opening my eyes. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. So here on Zoom with 89 students, if you want to join us on Zoom, you can email Mara, Wisdom of the Sages 108 at gmail.com, and you can join us. We can see each other. It's very fun to be on Zoom. A lot of you guys are listening out there as others. We are in the third canto, chapter 23, text 28.
But before we do that, should we make some announcements? Because we got some schedule changes.
We'll get some schedule changes. There's no shows for the next
there you go.
3
It's
days.
a big change.
That's a big change. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we have off. So if you're a live Zoomer, you're going to have to get a part-time job. You have nothing to do now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Because I'm traveling the next day. Right?
And
then you're traveling tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm traveling on Sunday. Yeah. It just didn't work.
Didn't work. We tried. It's just not going to happen.
I don't like going that long without a show.
No, me neither. Mara, you got to get a big sleep-in weekend. Forget sleeping Saturday. You get a whole sleep in the whole weekend.
I'm going to miss you guys.
Oh.
Yeah. You're going to miss me eating
we can
the
check
microphone? You're going to miss that?
Not going to miss that.
No.
Okay. See? You're tired of me?
No, she said no. She will not miss you eating the microphone.
Careful what you desire.
I was just looking out for our listeners. That's all.
Okay.
That's all right.
I thought the people listening
That's
to
her job as executive producer.
Sick of me eating? Okay. Then I'm going away for good.
Sometimes an executive producer has to say things that are just they're a little hard to say, but
Stop
don't
crunching in the microphone.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are, Canto 3, chapter 23, text 28. So what happened was, after these long austerities, right? You do austerities for a long time, you get rail thin, your hair gets thin, you get a little emaciated. And now she's ready to commune with her husband, have children. But she feels like, man, I need a makeover. I'm going to go to the underwater palace, and where she had a makeover. And somehow there's this thing. There's this, he arranged it, right? So there are like, supposedly there's underwater places that you can live. It's a whole thing. You hear about them regularly.
Okay.
Kaustubha's frozen, I think. Or he's in Samadhi. What do you think?
I'm here.
Okay. Anyway, so we're on text 28. So right now, Devahuti is under the water, and she has a bunch of maidservants taking care of her, giving her a makeover, getting her ready for making babies. Text 28. The girls, being very respectful of Devahuti, so they're like maidservants, brought her forth, and after bathing her with valuable oils and ointments, they gave her fine, new, spotless cloth to cover her body. Okay, so there must be something in this it must be like a bubble under the water, because you couldn't rub oil on somebody or give them a bath if they're already in the water.
We don't know. We just
well,
don't
obviously
know
they're not in the water. How do you pour oil on somebody when they're in the water? There's got to be
how do you survive in the water? I mean,
there's got to be an air bubble. I'm saying an underwater city.
Why did you see? That's exactly what Chaitanya Charan, the spiritual scientist, objected to. Where you think, my experience is that you need an air bubble if you're underwater to survive, but not everybody necessarily does.
Then how?
Don't go.
How
project your limitations.
How do they pour
oil? I don't have
oil?
the answer.
That's my question.
I'm just not.
How do you pour oil?
I don't.
How do you rub
maybe
oil?
They didn't pour it.
How do you
maybe
give someone a bath?
On
They're in a bath.
Anyway,
they're in a bath.
We don't know how it works.
Take a bath. I'm in a bath.
All right.
Okay, then
let's keep going.
They then decorated her.
We'll agree to disagree on this one.
I'm not gonna bend on this one. There must be an air bubble. Then decorated her with very excellent, valuable jewels, which shone brightly. Next, they offered her food, wet food, containing all good qualities, and sweet, inebriating drink called asavam.
Asavam.
How do you drink if you're underwater?
Don't worry about it. Asavam is an Ayurvedic medical preparation, and it's especially made from, Prabhupada says drugs. It's made from drugs, and is meant to improve metabolism for the healthy condition of the body.
I wonder if he means by drugs herbs,
Yeah, I think he does.
Then in a mirror, she beheld her own reflection. Her body was completely freed from all dirt, right? Because she was very dirty previously. And she was adorned with a garland, dressed in unsullied robes and decorated with auspicious marks of tilak. She was served very respectfully by the maids. Her entire body, including her head, was completely bathed, and she was decorated all over with ornaments. She wore a special necklace with a locket, and there were bangles on her wrists and tinkling ankles of gold about her ankles. About her hips, she wore a girdle of gold, set with numerous jewels, and she was further adorned with a precious pearl necklace and auspicious substances. I wonder what that means. Like perfumes?
A guru?
Auspicious substance. Well, that's like a perfume. A guru.
Yeah.
Her countenance shone with beautiful teeth and charming eyebrows. She got her eyebrows done. Her eyes, distinguished by lovely moist corners, defeated the beauty of the lotus buds. Her face was surrounded by dark curling tresses. When she thought of her great husband, the best of sages, Kardama Muni, who was very dear to her, she, along with all the maidservants, at once appeared where he was. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by thousands of maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. So he was basically just moving them around with his mystical powers. He arranged this whole beautiful aerial mansion for them to make babies in. and this underwater, fantastic
Makeover.
underwater bungalow. He created that as well. The sage could see that Devahuti had washed herself clean and was shining forth as though no longer in his former, although no longer his former wife. Like she looked like a whole different woman here. She regained her own original beauty as the daughter of a prince, dressed in excellent robes, her charming breasts duly girded. What does that mean? Girded.
I think they were just nicely wrapped up in
Presented.
the way that she was dressed.
Kamini is acting it out. like a corset. Okay. She was
Like
was
a
waited
girdle,
upon by
you know, they're like-
thousands. She was waited upon by thousands of Gandharva girls. So the Gandharvas are like angel girls, singers, especially good at singing. Oh, destroyer of the enemy, his fondness for her grew, and he placed her on the aerial mansion. Though seemingly attached to his beloved consort while served by the Gandharva girls, the sage did not lose his glory, which was mastery over his self. In the aerial mansion, Kardama Muni, with his consort, shone as charmingly as the moon in the midst of the stars in the sky, which causes rows of lilies to open in the ponds at night. So he himself, in his renunciation, there's also a great beauty in that as well. In that aerial mansion, this is text 39, if you're following along, in that aerial mansion, he traveled to the pleasure valleys of Mount Meru, which were rendered all the more beautiful by cool, gentle, fragrant breezes that stimulated passion. In these valleys, the treasure of the gods, Kuvera, surrounded by beautiful women and praised by the siddhas, or the perfected beings, generally enjoys pleasure. Kardama Muni, also surrounded by the beautiful damsels and his wife, went there and enjoyed, quote, for many years, many years. Satisfied by his wife, he enjoyed in that aerial mansion, not only on Mount Meru, but in different gardens known as Vaishrambaka, Shurashan, Nandana, Pushpa Badraka, and Chaitra Rathya, and the Manasa Sarovar Lake, and by the Manasa Sarovar Lake. He traveled in that way through the various planets as the air passes uncontrolled in every direction, coursing through the air in that great and splendid aerial mansion, which could fly at his will. He surpassed even the demigods. There's stuff going on that we have no clue, right? That aerial mansion would be like hovering above Earth right now. We don't even know. What is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge in the personality of Godhead's lotus feet?
You have to phrase that right. What is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's lotus feet? Like that.
What is difficult? Nothing. His feet are the source of sacred rivers like the Ganga, which put an end to the dangers of mundane life. After showing his wife the globe of the universe and its different arrangements, full of many wonders, the great yogi Kardama Muni returned to his own hermitage.
Okay, so let's just reflect on what's going on here, right? Devahuti was a princess, but a yogini. And she was attracted, she had heard about the wonderful qualities of Kardama Muni. Devahuti's father was Swayambhuva Manu, who was like responsible for like progeny, increasing progeny. And so he was very agreeable to his daughter marrying Kardama Muni, who was like this super advanced yogi and deeply spiritual person. So a good combination, right? Then, so he drops her off, they get married. Now she's given up all of her kind of like the opulences of being a princess, and she's living like a yogi, and just with love serving her husband. And we read those verses, the first 3 verses of this chapter, just they describe the nature of her service. And I think part of what we're supposed to take from this chapter is really examining those verses and understanding how we're meant to serve in this world, you know, with love, without ego, without lust or greed or other things. Those qualities are mentioned. The purity of how she was serving was very important. Now she served without any desire, right? She saw her husband as like a very advanced bhakti yogi, and so through serving him, she felt that was her service to God. And she gave up everything, right? She and lived this very simple life. He saw that, her husband saw that, and it moved him so much. And he wanted to reciprocate with her. And now we're hearing that they're like enjoying heavenly pleasures, like beyond earthly pleasures, right? They're floating around the heavens and just enjoying all these delights, which is interesting, right? Because it almost sounds like, oh, well, did they just lose their whole yogic thing? Did they, did they kind of get lost for a while? And I would really love to hear deeper explanations of this chapter. But what I'm taking from what it seems to be saying is that the path of bhakti yoga isn't necessarily an austere path, and it's not necessarily devoid of enjoyment. But it's never disconnected from one's service to God. So even though, or even if one has like some kind of material desire in there, but you've chosen not to make it your focus, you've chosen to I'm not going to pursue material enjoyments in life. I'm going to dedicate myself to serving God, that God may fulfill those desires for you anyway, and in a way that doesn't distract you or doesn't disturb you from your yogic practice. It seems like that's what's happening with Devahuti, right?
Sure.
And Kardama's happy to provide it all out of his affection for her. And then in the end, he's just going to walk away from it all again,
All right. Should I keep reading?
Yeah, please.
Okay. What text was that, Mara? I just lost it.
I think we're at text 43 now.
Yeah.
After showing his wife the globe of the universe and different arrangements full of many wonders, the great yogi Kardama Muni returned to his own hermitage. After coming back to his hermitage, he divided himself into 9 personalities. I need to do
yogis
that.
can do that.
Just to give pleasure to Devahuti, the daughter of Manu, who is eager for sex life.
You're trying to read through the sentence. You're trying to figure out how to phrase this.
How do you phrase this delicately?
Sex life. And
sex. People want sex sometimes. Big deal. Why am I hung up on this? Okay.
Well, she wanted to have children too.
She wanted children. That's why she wanted sex. It's okay.
Yeah.
In that way, he enjoyed with her for many years. Well, maybe they just wanted sex. He enjoyed with her for many years, many, many years, which passed just like a moment. Yeah, I get that. In that aerial mansion, Devahuti, in the company of her handsome husband, situated on an excellent bed that increased sexual desires. Some beds have that ability. Could not realize how much time was passing. While the couple who eagerly longed for sexual pleasure were thus enjoying themselves by virtue of mystic powers, 100 autumns passed like a brief span of time.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you're having fun. The powerful Kardama Muni was the knower of everyone's heart, and he could grant whatever one desired. Knowing the spiritual soul, he regarded her as half his body. Dividing himself into 9 forms, he impregnated Devahuti with 9 discharges of semen.
There you go again, Chant.
Okay. Wait a second.
Yeah.
I don't understand. 9 Kardamas came in. Why didn't he?
Well,
I thought
it. Yeah.
Why didn't he leave? I thought he left sexual Kardama with her, and 8 other versions of him went somewhere else. But you're saying
No.
9 versions of him came just to satisfy her?
That's what's going to happen, and she's going to have 9 daughters because of this.
Because of 9. All right. Immediately afterward, on the same day, Devahuti gave birth to 9 female children.
Immediately afterward, on the same day.
They had
that's
okay. So they didn't have a 9-month pregnancy. Like, okay. All charming in every limb all charming in every limb. Devahuti gave birth to 9 female children, all charming in every limb.
In other words,
And
all of their forms were very beautiful. You know, their arms, their legs, their bodies.
every
were very
limb was
beautiful.
charming.
Yeah.
And fragrant. I've just never heard that expression. And fragrant with the scent of the red lotus flower. When she saw her husband about to leave home, she smiled externally, but at heart she was agitated and distressed. She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with the luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down, she spoke in slow yet charming accents, suppressing her tears. Devahuti said in an accent, "My lord." What kind of accent? What kind of accent? My lord, I won't do it in an accent. My lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me. Yet because I am your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too. My dear Brahmana, as far as your daughters are concerned, they will find their own suitable husbands and go away to their respective homes. But who will give me solace after your departure as a sannyasi? Why didn't he just leave one of the 9 with her? Can't he do that? Why did all 9 Kardamas have to leave?
I don't know.
Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses.
Okay,
Nonetheless,
so
she's pretty wise. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear.
Okay, so going back to text 51, Devahuti said to him, kind of like they had their time of material enjoyment, and then she says, "You fulfilled all my material desires here, but really, by serving you can bless me with something far more important, and that is fearlessness, and that's what we achieve through the practice of Bhakti-yoga, right?" And we've been talking about that even in the past few days, about how it's not that the miseries of life don't come, but when you have the deeper spiritual realization, you pass through them in a way that others have trouble. Sure. So she prays, "You should give me fearlessness too." That's more important. So this is, Prabhupada writes this. He says, Devahuti requested her husband to grant her something without fear. As a wife, she was fully surrendered. She was a fully surrendered soul to her husband, and it was the responsibility of the husband to give his wife fearlessness. How one awards fearlessness is mentioned in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. One cannot get free from the clutches of death. One who cannot get free from the clutches of death is dependent, and they should not become a guru, a husband, a kinsman, nor father, nor mother, etc. In other words, when there's someone that you're responsible for caring for, you need to care for them spiritually as well as materially. Right? You need to help them, assist them in becoming spiritually advanced or free from fear of death. So he goes on, it is the duty of the superior to give fearlessness to the subordinate, to take charge of someone, therefore, either as a father, mother, guru, relative, husband, etc. One must accept the responsibility to give their ward freedom from the fearful situation of material existence. Material existence is always fearful and full of anxiety. Devahuti is saying, "You have given me all sorts of material comforts by your yogic power, and since you are now prepared to go away, you must give me your last award so that I may get free from this material conditional life."
It's the highest responsibility. You can take care of all their material needs, but unless you give them some type of spiritual grounding and connection.
That's right.
It's beautiful. I think I've made it a point in my life that whenever I meet somebody, no matter, or if they're a student and they come to me with a question, no matter what they say they need, in my mind, I sort of I put that on pause and say, you need God. But what they really need is God. But they'll come with so many other desires. But everybody is deeply longing for a connection with God. And sometimes they don't even realize it. They think, well, I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to get a career like that. I want to buy a house. I'm saving up for a house. All that, it might be true, but their deepest desire is to reconnect with God. And I think if you like meet people like that, first of all, you'll always end up not having issues with people. If you're a person that finds yourself always got issues with other people, when you realize that people are just looking for God and they're going about it sometimes in a really crazy way, but oftentimes people are just like, whenever I meet a person, that's just my default I put in my brain. Ultimately, these people want God. And my job is to figure out what are here they are on one side of the river and God is on the other side of the river, how to build that bridge for them to get to the other side. What do you think about that?
I've never had the experience of being a father, right? At least not in this life. And you have. And so I think, this verse must speak to you in ways that it doesn't speak to me, I mean, as a teacher,
you have students and you have a responsibility, but I mean, also people that are just like, like people are new to Bhakti or don't even know about Bhakti. In my brain, when I see them, I just think these people want Bhakti. These people want to be devotees. They don't just know. Give me some time with this person and I'll have them going, Harry Bowl.
No, I
didn't know what she was getting into. That. She signed up innocently for a teacher training class, and now look at her. Look at her. See?
But at the same time, being a father, like where you really have someone that's like dependent on you materially.
Sure.
Right. But the emotional bonds are so strong.
We just lost Kaustubha. He's like, I'm becoming a priest. I'm out of here. It's okay. We love you, Kaustubha. He's saying as a father, Mara. Can you hear me, Mara? Are you good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Disappear. Okay.
I'm back. I'm back.
Yep.
I don't know. I got cut off for some reason.
Go on with what you're saying. Emotional bonds are so strong between the father and the child.
Yeah, well, it seems to me like I remember once, I saw one night at the Eco Village, a few years back, we were having our, how at the end of the last week of our retreats there, like Gorvani's group would be around and other groups. So it was like a big group of people. And then we would always go into the temple in the Eco Village and have like a huge kirtan with like all of the local Govardhan Eco Village people.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Yeah, we do it every year. And 1 year, Gorvani's daughter, Revati, led a kirtan, and I think she was 13 years old at the time or so.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
And she began singing, and she sang that melody, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
That one. And I remember when she started singing, I really was starting to tear up. There's just something about it. She sang very beautiful and such, a beautiful, innocent devotee girl. But there's just something about the time and the place and the Krishna's arrangement, the whole thing, and Raghunath Swami's presence, and the whole thing. Somehow it was very moving. And Raghunath Swami got up and started dancing, really beautiful. And then everybody was dancing. And I remember saying to Gorvani the next day, I said, you must be so proud, to see your daughter chant like that and everything. And he said to me, and it was just full of, I guess you could say it was full of emotion, but it was just like purely honest. He just said, I could just die right now happy, right? And it seems to me like to be a parent, particularly like a parent, like a yogi parent, a Bhakti-yogi parent, really, if you could just somehow share this with your children, really you're ready to just give up everything for that, and even, like go to hell many times if necessary for them just to get this, like you go through any kind of struggle, any kind of pain. And if they get it, you're satisfied. You're happy.
It's like it's like my only prayer. Please, Krishna, help, to the saints, to Krishna, to the devotees, to Govardhan, please help my children become connected, become attached to you.
And so,
Yeah.
and I think so. So for people like Gorvani Prabhu, people like yourself, your thinking has been shaped by so much of this hearing that you really have that like my duty. Of course, it's my duty as a parent to care for my children, in terms of their material needs, no question. But even that I see in relation to their ultimately to their spiritual need, which is the solution to all material problems, right? If
Sure.
they can catch on to this and actually even like understand it more deeply than I do, you know, then my life is a total success.
You know,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to share because sometimes, me and Gore have been raising our kids as little devotees their whole life. But some of you may be listening and you'd be thinking, well, my kid's already 18 or my kid's already 15. They've got their own thing. Don't sweat it, because what you do today, kids are taking notes. Kids are noticing how you behave. They know where mom's at and their dads are at.
Even adult kids.
Adult kids, and they say, what is mom into? What is dad into? And I met somebody's parents were into, they get into Krishna, but maybe even their parents aren't even that serious about it. And then the kid gets very serious about it. So you'd be surprised at how much influence you have over your children, even when you think they're at an age where they're not being influenced anymore. They don't really look to me or follow my cues. We are influenced. Everything that we do influences everybody around us. And that's why it's part of our work is our behavior in this world, because it becomes attractive. When we start to act like devotees, it becomes attractive to the outside world. They think, I want that too. I've noticed how dad changed. He's different now. Mom's different now. And that becomes an attractive thing. What do they have? I want that.
I remember that was something like Raghunath Swami's advice to you in terms of raising your children, right? Wasn't it always just about, you just live your life as a very good devotee. They're going to notice it. They're going to see it. Something like that, right?
I can't remember. I got to write these instructions down more.
You told me like that, that it's not something that you can't force on someone, you can't make someone do it. But if they're witnessing your devotion, then it'll arise in them as well. And I've watched it happen. Yeah. Even that little Rooney.
Yeah, even that little Rooney. I remember being at the Radha Kund and with Damodar Swami and watching Rocco just bathing in Radha Kund. And Maharaj put his arm around me and just said, "This is the joy of fatherhood right now, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah." I'm like more happy than I'm ever just seeing my son swim around Radha Kund. It was beautiful.
Yeah, we got a little something from RMR the Grateful here. He's written on our chat board. So he's been practicing bhakti, for a year and a half now or so with Wisdom of the Sages. And he says, my adult daughters have said that they noticed how different for the better the last 2 years I've been. Right. So yeah, people pick up on it.
Sure. Saleli G is saying, it's hard. I always feel like I'm not giving my kids enough. But that's always a helpful way to look at it. Yeah, you'd be surprised. And you bring Krishna into your house and, you chant before you eat dinner, perhaps, if that's appropriate. It affected me. My parents used to make us chant Rosary after dinner. Did your parents ever do that? We'd sit there.
After dinner, really?
After dinner, we'd sit there and chant Rosary. I've been chanting for years, man.
Hail Mary.
I kid you not.
All right.
Chanting on beads. Okay, let's bring it back.
We're done with the chapter. We can wrap up this chapter now.
Great. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. T-shirt. But that same type of association performed with saintly persons, right? Is association bad? No, it's what you're associating with. Association performed with saintly person leads to the path to liberation, even if performed without knowledge. There we go. It's not like your kids are going, "Hey, I want to hang out with Saint Stephanie Saleli." Your kids aren't saying that. You're just being who you are, Stephanie. And your kids are like, "I want to be like mom." Even without them knowing it, you're influencing people and they want to know. That's why the biggest quote preaching you can do is just living your life like a devotee. It's very powerful.
I believe it was Saint Francis that said, preach constantly
Thomas
and
Aquinas.
when necessary. You sure? Was it Thomas
No,
Aquinas?
I'm not positive, but I like to
I think it may have been
push
Francis.
myself
It was one of
forward
these
as someone with
Christians. One of these
knowledge.
Christians came up with that, but it said preach constantly and when necessary use words. And so there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Please continue.
Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to dharmic life, anyone whose dharmic ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to bhakti, service to the personality of Godhead, must be considered dead, although he is breathing.
This is heavy right here, and this is talking about the different yogic practices. There's karma yoga or karma kanda, right? Like I do pious things in this world to be good and to gain material. That's really karma kanda, not so much karma yoga, but to get the things of this world, to get happiness of the world. I'm going to be pious, I'm going to be dharmic. But it's saying here, if you do that, but it's not leading to, if your ritualistic performance don't raise you to renunciation, if you're not learning how to let go of these things, then it's not working. You're not moving in the right direction. And then if you're in renunciation, like the Jnana Yogi, but it doesn't lead to devotion to the Supreme Personality of God, then none of it has value. This is one of those verses that's pointing this out, that goes right back to the very beginning of Bhagavatam, where it's pointed out, how all the different yogic paths culminate in bhakti. And if you just get stuck on one of them, you haven't followed it to the end of the path.
Okay. Anyone whose work is not meant to okay.
Finally, last verse.
Last verse. My Lord, my Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the personality of Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation.
Okay, so this is
Devahuti speaking to her husband.
Yeah, this is humility. Remember, this is the woman that gave up all her princessly kind of opulences and was just working hard, and without asking for anything, And in her heart, she had a desire to have children. These children are among them will be Kapila Dev, Lord Vishnu himself. And amongst those daughters, they're all going to become important progenitors, for the benefit of the universe. She gave up everything to serve this super qualified yogi with love, with devotion, with full-hearted abandon, and didn't really ask for anything. And then he reciprocated with her by fulfilling her desire in such a fantastic and unbelievable way. And then she walks away from it saying, you know what, I accepted so much material enjoyment from you, but really I didn't even ask for what's most important. Just see how materially attached I am, where she wasn't really at all. And so as we go into the next chapter, we're going to see that, one, he's going to care for her and give her this super blessing, that she will have a son. That son will be Kapila Dev. And so much of the rest of this canto is going to be her questions to Kapila Dev, Lord Vishnu himself, who appears as her son. This conversation back and forth is going to reveal so much about meditation, so much about Bhakti-yoga. These are very rich chapters in the Bhagavatam that we have to look forward to.
Right.
In one sense, this whole chapter is just framing this conversation. It's every detail is interesting and has value, but it's really framing their conversation, which becomes so important.
And by the way, if you're listening on Zoom and you're new to it, we always end the class with takeaways. During the class, you write down your notes. We call them hashtags or takeaways, some little nectarian nugget that we can bring with us, put it in our pocket, whip it out when we need it, when time get tough, when the world's working against us. I can pull out a little nectar nugget. Mara, we send them to Mara during the show on the chat board. Mara, what do we got for nectar nuggets today?
All right. Today we got simplicity facilitates meditation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What possessions are complicating my life?
throw out food in your refrigerator. What happened to that one?
Clothes in your closet.
How many shoes do you have?
Bhakti-yoga grants fearlessness.
Bhakti-yoga grants.
Yeah. Material existence is always fearful and full of anxiety.
Everyone missed that one, but it is.
Yeah, it was in the purport.
Okay.
Everyone is deeply longing for a reconnection with God.
Yep.
Sharing bhakti with your kids is the ultimate parent win. Everything we do influences everyone around us, and build a bridge to God.
Ooh, build a bridge to God. That's like a song. Build a bridge to God. Thanks everybody for joining us. Or this song. I could see if George Harrison could write that song, Build a Bridge to God. I could see that in his repertoire. Yes, look at Lexi Crouch's little daughter, little Lexi dancing. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you like what we're doing here, go to Apple Podcasts and write a review. Tell us your story about how you got in Bhakti. We read them. We read all those stories. Everybody reads them. Tell us your story. And thanks to everybody. And check we got people dancing here. Where's our dance team? We got a cat dancing.
By the way, so we're not back until Monday. We got 3 days off.
5 a.m. Eastern time Monday with me and Kaustubha. Come on, Keshvacharya.
Big cat.
If you're not familiar, you should go to Spotify right now. Download the Premahara CD. This is good stuff. This is the famous Premahara band. They even have the cat in the band. Gopi the cat. I had a rabbit named Gopi. Thanks everybody for joining us live, especially those we didn't say hello to. Thanks to Bunky. Look at Bunky, in case you were lost their material minds, these guys.